Hello. So I've started doing this thing with my mate Chris, and he started vlogging. And what we're gonna do is we're going to give each other the topics, and he's already given me one, like every video. And so the topic he gave me is, which do I like better, the whole Nolan Batman series or the Avengers and all the films that are attached to that? Which is an interesting question. I hadn't really thought about it that much, but I gave it some thought, and the main thing which makes it really weird is the fact that Batman's like if they took a normal superhero in a really, really dark city but was a real city, whereas Avengers is just kind of high camp but done really well. And so they're such different things that it's just so hard to make a decision between them. Because one's like gritty and all dark and that's awesome, but then the other's funny and character based between them and great relationships, and the bad guys are like comic bad guys. Each thing, like the Nolan Batman films and the Avengers, I'm just going to call it the Avengers as a whole for the 6 films or so, but they both have things which the other just doesn't. Like, there's a little bit of comedy in Dark Knight, but it's nowhere near the comedy in Avengers, which is like the best parts of the film, I'd say. But then in Nolan Batman series, there's some bits which are like so tense. I'm like, I do not have a clue what's going to happen now, and this is all really scary. But there's nothing like that in Avengers, really. I mean, it's cool and all the action moments are good, but they're not exactly like the same thing, because they're just kind of like, ooh, explosions and ooh, we're going to beat the bad guys. But Batman's really like, oh no, I just don't know. I really don't know what's going to happen. So since this is such a hard decision for me, because I'm really not sure even now while I'm filming which I actually prefer, I'm gonna go through bit by bit and like say the villains. I'm gonna say which are better, and then I made a little chart here. You can see it. Yep. And I'm going to tally up which has the most points by the end. And that'll be my... So, for starters, for comedy, obviously, I'm going to give Avengers one, but then for the epic tense one, scenes which the Avengers doesn't really have, I'm going to give Batman one. The villains in the Marvel films are good. Like, I like Loki quite a lot, and Thanos is coming, which that looks really cool, but they're not really... Heath Ledger, come on. I mean, it's Heath Ledger. And then they've got Tom Hardy on the way, and they had Liam Neeson. So, obviously, that is a point for Matt. Next, the gadgetry, why not? Batman has some pretty cool stuff, like that thing that he has in his shoe that kind of makes bats come all over the place. But he doesn't really have anything on Iron Man. Just some of the stuff in the Avengers with Iron Man is so cool, like the falling battle armor, which was just... And that's obviously a point for the Avengers. He's kind of helpful black guy in each film. Marvel has Samuel L. Jackson, and Batman has Morgan Freeman. And that is a tough decision because Samuel L. Jackson is cool as hell, but then Morgan Freeman, I'm gonna give a point for special effects, which obviously just goes to Marvel, because those giant wormy type things, they were pretty damn good. I'm going to do butlers. Right, so it's basically Jarvis, who's cool, versus Alfred, and Alfred's just like the butler of everything, and he's like the coolest guy ever. So, important one is like inter-character relationship type thing, which, although like Batman, the kind of relationship between Batman and Gary Oldman, and like between him and Alfred, they're really, really good, but I have to say, just the intensity of how hard it must be to get the Avengers to work. They're from different worlds. So that's probably an Avengers point. So next, I'm going to move on to the final point, which is probably the most important point of all. And we are 4 and 4. The final one is how well, like, the main characters, developed over the films, which I just have to give to Batman, although it is more of a personal study of him rather than like a blockbuster and his like life. So that has an advantage, but then it's just so well told. And though the Avengers do have story arcs, and the Hulk is like his story arc and stuff, that's really, really good, but I'm just, I mean Batman. I mean the development of Batman is just So overall, Batman wins, which, you know, I like both, but Batman just wins overall. Look at that. There's no lying with that. It's just there. That's if you want to get a chance, if you want to have a chance against Batman, get the rights to X-Men back. Then we'll talk, okay? Chris, my challenge for you is, you'll enjoy this one, watch and review the first episode of Archer. Go.